Hello, everybody. So today we are pleased to have on our channel Emin Gün Sirer, the founder and CEO of Avax and Avalanche. It's the fastest smart contract consensus platform, and it's measured time by time finality and has the most validated securing its activity of any proof of stake protocol. And it's 3 times faster than Visa. And as we saw during the last months, it had a huge growth. So now, nice to have you here, Emin.
Thank you so much for having me, Anna.
Yeah, so you're, as I know, you're in London now, right?
Absolutely. I'm here for Token 2049, where I found a very vibrant crowd, a very, very excited group of people who have essentially been cooped up because of the lockdowns. And this is one of the first big conferences, following the lockdowns. And it's been amazing to be here to have had the discussions that we just did and to see the level of excitement in the crowd that we just saw.
Great. So can you tell us about your story and about your journey? I know you invented the concept of proof of work minting for a cryptocurrency called Karma back in 2003, but it didn't get that adoption. And can you tell us, when did you discover blockchain first and what were your thoughts?
Sure. So indeed, I started back in 2002. And I was a young assistant professor at Cornell University at the time. And the big problem that we wanted to solve was peer-to-peer networks. You have this problem of leechers, people who take things from the system without contributing back. And this is a general problem. You have this in any society. You have the people who contribute, and you have a larger number of people who just want to take things without contributing anything back. And one of the solutions that people thought about at the time was based on barter. And so they thought, well, look, we can get people to be nice if we force them to do something for the network for everything that they get from the network. So for example, if you want to download a file, well, you have to upload a block of the same file. This is okay, but it's actually very difficult to get started in systems like this. And barter networks don't really work all that well, especially for newcomers. So I had the idea back then that maybe I should invent some kind of magic internet money that isn't created by a central entity, but it's created by doing something decentralized. And that thing was solving these distributed crypto puzzles. And so Karma was, as far as I know, it's the first system that implemented the notion of minting cryptocurrency by using proof of work. It used a conventional consensus protocol, but it also came 6 years before Bitcoin. And so Karma today is a very well-cited academic paper. Lots and lots of academics know about it, but it did not have the reach that Bitcoin did. I did not push it with the same vision that Satoshi pushed his idea. And in fact, what happened at the time was my mentors came to me and said, look, this is a cool idea and everything, but don't be working in this space. You will never get funding. It was shortly after 9/11. And in the US, where I lived, of course, at the time, people were very concerned about terrorist financing. So they said, look, you will never find supporters for this as an academic. Satoshi came 6 years after me, and he had used some of the same mechanisms, but he also innovated on the consensus protocol front. His consensus protocol is absolutely brilliant, a huge step up from what we had back in Karma days. And he also got his timing exactly right. He came shortly after the 2008 financial crash, and at the time when people were really worried about hyperinflation. And then the rest is history. So after Bitcoin came out, I looked at the security claims of Bitcoin, and I corrected the record on exactly the security properties of Bitcoin. I think it was mischaracterized, and we helped characterize it. And we invented a new thing called selfish mining. It is the 3rd most cited paper in the blockchain space. And then I worked on securing coins at rest, helping the security of coins that people are storing in cold wallets. I worked on characterizing scalability. I worked on characterizing decentralization for blockchains. I worked on fast layer 2s, and most recently, I've been working on fast consensus protocols. And out of that last batch of work came the Avalanche protocol and the Avalanche system as we know it today.
So did you start working in the crypto industry just right away after discovering blockchain and Bitcoin?
No, I was an academic for, I mean, yes and no. It depends on how you define the industry. So I was always part of the industry, as I mentioned. I was there before Satoshi, and then after Bitcoin came out, after we did the selfish mining work, I worked on various different aspects of science that goes into these projects. But I wasn't a commercial actor in this space. I was a scientist. And it's only recently that I started building a system that's independent, that has a commercial idea behind it, and I built my company that built the software that now is the Avalanche network.
So what did lead you to start in Avalanche, and what problem did you see in the industry?
So the main issue that has been in front of us for a long time, the big impediment to achieving the vision that Satoshi had is scaling blockchains. Blockchains are very, very, very slow protocols. So if you look at Bitcoin, if you look at Ethereum today, they are nowhere near the level of capacity that you need if you want to digitize all of the world's assets. The vision is fantastic, right? These systems are open, they're transparent. It's just a wonderful way to build financial systems, except if we were to build them with proof of work technology, then it's going to be slow. So the big thing that got me excited about this space was this insight that perhaps we could build a consensus protocol that uses an entirely different mechanism than the world had ever seen before, that we could then achieve the kind of speed and capacity necessary to digitize an entirely new slew of assets and put them in blockchain form. So that's what led to the creation of Avalabs, and that's the technical breakthrough that gave us the Avalanche protocol.
So can you explain us how do you achieve that scalability, that speed of transactions and security?
Of course. So behind every blockchain system lies essentially a mechanism for achieving consensus in the network. You need consensus on who holds how much of each asset. And so that mechanism is called a consensus protocol, and it involves a prescribed set of steps for people to follow so that everybody is in lock-sync order about what exactly took place. So I need to, for example, if Alice pays Bob, I want the entire world to agree that Alice paid Bob. If there's somebody out there who thinks that that did not happen, or that she paid Charlie instead, then you have a divergence in the ledger and you have a big problem. To date, this area of consensus protocols has been researched for about 45 years. And again, to date, there had only been 2 families of protocols proposed for solving these problems. One family of protocols is known as classical consensus protocols. And the people who invented these are 2 academics. One is Leslie Lamport, the other is Barbara Liskov. Both of them have Turing Awards, the highest award in the field of computer science, partially for the work they did on consensus protocols. So these are classical protocols, and they work well in small scale. And Satoshi knew about these protocols, and he said, look, these are not going to be suitable for use in an open internet scale system. So he made the second big breakthrough in the science of distributed systems by coming up with this proof of work protocol. And it's a brilliant breakthrough. And he showed the world how you can build a very robust way of keeping track of a ledger that is secure using proof of work and mining rigs and so forth. The latest, greatest accomplishment in this space is a third new family of building consensus protocols. And that is the breakthrough behind Avalanche. Avalanche consensus protocol works differently. It does not involve proof of work mining. It does not involve any mining rigs, etc. And it does not involve the kind of protocols that came before, the classical protocols. So when a lot of people talk about proof of stake protocols, they are referring to classical protocols. Those protocols are inherently unscalable. They don't admit that many members into the protocol. So if we look at what's happening with this movement, we see classical protocols replaced by Satoshi's proof of work mining. Then we see a lot of people trying to bring classical protocols back. So Polkadot is using a classical protocol, Cardano classical protocol, et cetera, et cetera. And then we have Avalanche. It's a genuine big breakthrough in the science of blockchains, and it operates entirely differently from everybody else. The core mechanism in classical protocols is all-to-all voting. All of the members who are voting talk to everybody else, or they need to hear from everybody else. In proof of work, it's based on mining, and it is based on external energy consumption. In Avalanche, it's repeated subsampled voting, which is what makes it efficient. And it is, again, super energy efficient as well. There's no mining involved. The energy consumption is minimal. And the number of messages required to achieve consensus is very, very small. So that's what allows Avalanche to quickly achieve consensus on proposed transactions, to quickly solve the double spend problem, and notify everybody about what exactly happened. Did Alice pay Bob, or did Alice pay Charlie, to decide on those conflicted cases, and allow the network to move. As a result of this new mechanism of operation, Avalanche achieves finality much faster than anyone else. It achieves finality in under a second. And I believe we're the only chain that is able to do so. It admits any number of participants. It can admit millions of participants into the decision-making process. And currently we have the most number of validators of any proof of stake chain. And overall, we achieve speeds that are so much faster than, say, Visa, that we can actually quite comfortably operate as a payments platform as well, like a point of sale payment platform. So those are the properties of this new protocol, and internal operation is just much more efficient because of the mechanism by which it achieves consensus.
Thank you for explanation. Yeah, maybe we will see the future of payment system on Avalanche. Let's discuss what's currently happening with Avalanche. And I know that you recently launched a 180 million program, Avalanche Rush incentive program. So can you tell us more about it?
Absolutely. So so there are a couple of things that are different or interesting about Avalanche. One of them is this consensus protocol. It's a genuine breakthrough, and it's just so much faster than all of the competitors that its performance properties are just amazing to watch. The second, there are a couple of other ideas behind Avalanche that make it really exciting. One of the ideas is that it permits multiple chains to operate on top of the same platform. So not only does Avalanche support its own virtual machine, it also supports the Ethereum virtual machine in full. So we can do everything Ethereum does and more. And so on that EVM chain, we ended up having an enormous number of DeFi protocols come on board. And in so doing, they bring with them the ability to do everything that people are used to on Ethereum, except much faster and much more cheaply. So the fees on Avalanche are much lower because the capacity is so much higher, and nobody needs to compete with other people, and the bots are not overrunning the place. So that's a wonderful situation to be in. And so now what do we want to do? We want everybody to come and experiment with this. And to facilitate that, we decided to start an incentive program. So if you come and use Avalanche, well, then you shall get some additional rewards for having used the Avalanche system, for providing liquidity, for bringing funds over, assets over. So to that end, we announced this Avalanche Rush program. And I think at the time it was announced, it was $180 million worth. But with the increase in Avalanche price, Avax price, the program is actually much more money that's being given out. And the Rush program went into effect, just very recently. And we reached the initial target so fast that we're so excited. So we have about $5 billion in total value locked. And we essentially have, actually, to be frank, we have a bit of a success issue. So this is the kind of problem you want to have, which is we wanted to bring in TVL, we wanted to bring funds over, and so we announced this incentive program, and the funds came over much more quickly than we thought. So so now we're thinking about what to do with Avalanche Rush going forward. And what to do about increasing the APYs on our system.
And what is the current API on your system?
They change on a daily basis. So I don't know when this podcast will go out, but I don't want to say something and then it be invalidated the day after. So let's I encourage everybody to check it out. And the Rush program is a dynamic program. It's a program that changes very, very frequently. And I think they will be pleasantly surprised when they check the yields on the Avalanche system. We definitely want everybody to come and play with Avalanche. The bridge experience is incredibly smooth. Bringing assets over is very, very easy and very, very cheap and efficient. And then once people use Avalanche, they typically find that it's very hard to go back. The system is so fast and so pleasant that you really just don't want to go back to the old days of submitting transactions Ethereum and waiting for them to be mined and so on and so forth. So it's a very different kind of a world, and I think they should just check what's happening on ecosystem.avax.network and look at the yields there, or they can use yield farming smart contracts that can help them. And there are many other ways of interacting with our chain, of course. So I encourage everybody to come and check it out.
Yeah, okay, so we'll leave the link on the description of this video so everybody can check out themselves. And what are the biggest use cases in the Avalanche ecosystem, and where do you see the biggest potential?
So our vision for Avalanche is really different from many other people's visions. We are not trying to compete with the dollar. We're not trying to compete with the euro. We're not trying to take states down and replace them with some cryptocurrency. So other people are trying to do that, power to them. We're not trying to build an internet computer. We're not trying to build some giant computational machine where you submit your programs and so forth. So again, other people are trying to do that, that's fine. Our goal is to digitize all of the world's assets. It's a simple goal, but I don't see anybody else trying to do this. And this has a lot of technical implications. At the lowest level, for example, if I look around, I don't even see other people implementing the very notion of an asset. For many networks, there is no notion of an asset. There's only their own currency. The only thing that they care about is their own currency, and everything else is implemented on top. This is different for Avalanche. In Avalanche, you can create enormous numbers of digital assets on top. It's designed from the ground up for creating new assets. And it also has this notion of subnets. So you can create a subnet with specific rules for specific assets. And that allows you to create, for example, subnets that are legally compliant in certain jurisdictions. So I can create a subnet for the US. I can create a subnet for the EU, for Russia, for China, etc. This allows us to step away from other platforms that are just one size fits all. We have to recognize that the chains cannot be universally compliant, that there are jurisdictional differences. You need a different kind of rules for EU versus US versus other jurisdictions. So what are the use cases? Is digitization of assets. We're beginning to see DeFi take off on Avalanche, and that's a wonderful process to watch. There's a lot of TVL coming over. We're beginning to see NFTs take off. This is just essentially everything that you see on Ethereum. It's happening on Avalanche. It's happening at a faster clip. It's evolving at a faster clip, I would say. But also behind the scenes, we're beginning to see through our partnerships and business agreements we've done with other people, we're beginning to see people launch their own subnets where they are shielded from what's happening on the main chain, where they have their own rules, they're subject to their own fee regimes, And it's such an exciting world. I'm not at liberty to disclose systems that are not public yet, but I'm really excited about these subnet applications where people have really unique, very, very cool ideas, and they have properties that are impossible to get elsewhere. The fees are independent. The fees are what they are. And the fact that you have congestion on the DeFi side will not affect these subnets that people deploy on top of us. So these applications involve IoT applications. They involve central bank applications. They involve NFTs again of a different kind. And I can go on like this, but it's really, really exciting. And I think the next months to years will be just full of advancement of the technology here. And maybe if I may have another minute, let me say this. Because of my background and the background of many other people on the team, we are in a unique position. We are academics. We are in command of the best of science. And unlike others in the blockchain space who have to invent things from scratch, we know where to go to take the best of what science has to offer. And we also know how to adopt it to the blockchain space. And that's been my special magic trick in blockchains. So that's I think our main edge up on everybody else in this space. And so as a result, we have some really exciting technology. We pioneered, I think, the easiest to use bridge, and using SGX technologies from Intel. And we have many other tricks of that kind in our pocket that we plan to unveil in the coming weeks, months, and years ahead.
And you mentioned a few times NFTs. What is your personal opinion on them? And can you tell us more? What does Avalanche do in this space?
Great question. So we partnered with Topps. For those of your listeners who are in the US, Topps is the #1 issuer of playing cards, the ones of the kind that people used to collect and trade and so forth. And Topps has the rights to many different intellectual properties in NFT form. This includes Bundesliga, the German league. It includes a bunch of Disney properties. It includes a number of, and of course, it includes Major League Baseball. And Major League Baseball in the US is essentially as big as soccer everywhere else. So it's a big event. And they've already started issuing their packs on us. There's already a vibrant NFT community being built around these kinds of collectibles. It's different from the apes and et cetera, et cetera. We also have those. So that's good. We also have some name brand artists. I think those of your listeners who know photography will know Jordan Peterson, and he's coming on board Avalanche. I'm really excited about that. And there are some other signature artists. For example, there's from Turkey, there's Yiğit Özgür coming on sometime soon. I think the Turkish listeners will immediately know who I'm talking about, one of the best caricature artists in the country, probably in the world, I should say. So I'm really thrilled about what's happening in that space, and very excited about NFTs in general.
That's interesting. And do you own any NFTs?
Of course I do. I love NFTs. So not that well. I mean, I don't love all of them, but I'm very selective in the kind of artwork I like. So there are some where I really love the artwork, and I just acquired the NFT because it's just so cool looking, and I'm excited. I'm really excited about that. So yeah, I own some Avax trees. I have some apes, Avax apes that people were really excited about. I have some crypto seals that were, again, a computer generated, very cool geometric patterns. And I can't wait for Jordan Peterson, and I cannot wait for Yiğit Özgür. Both of them are going to be so amazing to get my hands on. I also have some, and I also have another artist's NFTs from Turkey as well.
That's cool. So you are mostly enjoy the art of the NFTs which you got. Yeah?
Absolutely. I'm not trying to trade them up. I'm not trying to make money off of them. I just happen to really like, the things that I've never sold an NFT. I just kind of acquire them. I love, the things I actually have, I really love. And so yeah, that's what I do. To everybody, it's different, right? Some people like to trade these things. I have just been, I've just been acquiring things, and I was so thrilled to get the Avax tree. It's so cool looking, and I plan to change my profile picture to that. It's just beautiful. So yeah.
Okay, we'll check out your new profile picture. And you're originally from Turkey and live now in US. So can you tell us how do you view the regulation environment in these countries, and how will regulations develop globally this year for crypto?
Yeah, I was born in Turkey, that's true, but I came to the US at a fairly early age, at 18, and I've been in the US for about 32 years now. And so the company itself it's just an American company. It has, of the 130 employees, the vast majority are American, and then we have a small number of people scattered across the world. So we are an American company through and through. We're highly regulated, and everything we do must be compliant. And so this has meant a lot of work for me and my legal team. And but it also means, it provides a level of assurance to everybody who deals with us. And I wouldn't have it any other way. There are people who leave the US because the regulatory environment is a little confining. And it can be unclear at times as well. But I always looked at those kinds of operations with some disdain, and I think there is great value in having an open relation with regulators, and B, having their supervision on everything you do, so as to provide the assurance to everybody that deals with you that yes, this is not a, whatever it is, it's not a backwoods operation. This is a well-regulated company, a well-regulated team that is doing everything to make sure that everything they do is protected. Are you there? Okay.
Yeah.
Your video froze. Okay.
Stop.
Okay. Yeah. No worries. So I should also add the nature of blockchains. I was saying my connection is unstable. Okay. The nature of blockchains is such that many of the concerns that regulators have can be built in to the underlying fabric. And it's also possible to do things in a manner that puts the users first. And so at Ava Labs, our philosophy is always build the guarantees into the fabric whenever possible. And we also have an ethos of always putting our users first. So coupled with those, I think our work speaks for itself. Our track record speaks for itself. And the additional scrutiny and the seal of approval from the regulators is always good to have as well.
Yeah, it's some kind of proof of authenticity, as you're based in US. And can you share with us the future plans for development of Avalanche?
Absolutely. So we have by far, I think, the fastest moving team in crypto. We went from idea to mainnet very, very quickly. Our public sale to our mainnet launch was very, very short. And by launching quickly, we ended up building we ended up having a great run with our assets so far. So moving forward, we have a huge number of things in store, a bunch of technological improvements. We have the world's fastest platform. There are a bunch of technological improvements we would like to make to that platform to reduce its resource consumption, to make it start up faster. These are sort of secondary things, but nevertheless, they're nice to have. And I'm excited about what is coming down the pipeline there, because it will make the process. There are a bunch of myths about how terrible blockchains are, how slow they are, how hard it is to bring one up, et cetera, et cetera. I want to break every one of those myths. I think I've already proven to the world that these are not just slow databases. You can have really, really fast blockchains. And then, another myth is, well, it takes multiple days to bring up a node. Yeah, it takes multiple days to bring up a Bitcoin node or an Ethereum node, but it need not be that way. And so I want to show the world how this is done. And so I'm really excited about what's coming down the pipeline there. We have additional features that are really exciting, like the ability to create different subnets, the ability to introduce new virtual machines, say quantum safe computing, etc., that might one day be necessary. So we have these in store, and the ability to accommodate multiple languages, not just EVM, but also WASM, also Rust, etc. So that's coming down the pipeline. I'm excited about that. We have the world's easiest to use bridge, and currently bridge is only to Ethereum. I'm excited about expanding it to other chains. Overall, we came into the space to digitize all of the world's assets, and we've invented new asset classes. One of these new classes is called ILOs, Initial Litigation Offerings. And I'm really excited about the first initial litigation offering to come. That's going to happen in the next month or so, where people will be able to tokenize and participate in a lawsuit. And so I'm excited about that process where we bring in entirely new assets native to Avalanche, just because we have the capacity to do so, and we have the world's most creative team when it comes to blockchains and tokenization. I can go on like this. There are many other technological improvements in the back that I haven't been able to unveil yet, and they're kind of weighing me down, getting me very excited, and I just can't wait to bring them out into the world and say, hey, this stuff is cool. Take a look at this. So all in due time, I plan to unveil some really exciting new tech.
So we'll follow the further steps of Avalanche. Thank you for such interesting conversation.
Thank you, Anna, for having me.